This is Ecotricity's EcoTEC Roundup show from Aotearoa's first and only climate-positive certified renewable electricity provider. We only source from wind, hydro and solar, and we are the leading supplier of electricity to electric vehicles in Aotearoa. Switch today at ecotricity.co.nz. Welcome back to another roundup of news in the world of clean cars and green energy. Thank you for joining me. It was a Shanghai auto show this week, and that means plenty of new cars launching that are way out of the price range of most people. But today, I'm starting with two cars from BYD that are much more affordable. While not technically new to the market, we heard this week that BYD is officially launching the BYD Dolphin and BYD Seal electric cars into the European market. Offered with a range of battery pack configurations, including BYD's flagship lithium iron phosphate blade batteries, these two models are packed with tech and promise ranges that put them right in the middle of the affordable EV market segment. The BYD Dolphin is due to go on sale sometime around June or July, while the Seal will follow it onto the roads in late summer to early autumn. We cannot wait to see more affordable models like these around the world. With BYD's newest European models out the way, it's time to look at more expensive electric cars that received their official debut in Shanghai this week. First out the gate, the BMW i7 M70 XDrive. The most powerful all-electric model from BMW to date, the i7 M70 full-size sedan is built for both speed and luxury, with an all-wheel drivetrain capable of outputting 485 kilowatts at the wheels. Being an M-badged variant, it gets its own high-end performance mode that unleashes upwards of 800 pound-feet, 1100 newton-meters of torque, carrying out the 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, that's 0 to 62 miles per hour, in 3.7 seconds. That's not the quickest car out there, but if it's anything like the iX M60 we drove last year, it will handle impeccably, despite its size and polarizing looks. Don't ask the price though, because it will be expensive. As an electric car brand based in China, the Shanghai Auto Show was the perfect time for Polestar to unveil yet another new car it will be bringing to market next year, the Polestar 4. Despite the name, the Polestar 4 is sized to sit between the Polestar 2 and Polestar 3 and is built on the same Sustainable Experience Architecture, or SEA, platform as the Polestar 3. Stylistically, it's very similar to other Polestar models we've seen to date, with emphasised wheel arches and a fairly aggressive stance. And while it's being marketed as an SUV coupe, it is more coupe than SUV, with a powerful all-wheel drivetrain pushing 400 kilowatts and achieving a 3.8-second sprint time, with up to 560 kilometres, that's 350 miles, on the overly optimistic WLTP test cycle. Most noticeably, though, it lacks a rear window, opting instead to use a high-mounted rear-view camera for rearward visibility. As promised, Tesla released its first quarter earnings on Wednesday this week, setting new production and delivery records but suffering a drop in overall earnings. While Tesla produced slightly fewer Model S's and X's in Q1 than it did in either of the two preceding quarters, it set a new production record for Model 3 and Y, reaching a total combined vehicle output of 440,808 cars. In a similar vein, Model S and X deliveries were noticeably down, but overall deliveries were at an all-time high. Increased material costs, underutilised production lines and recent price cuts are all blamed for Tesla's overall drop in gross profit margin, which fell 19.3% despite a reasonably healthy 19% automotive gross margin. Tesla recorded an adjusted profit of 85 cents per share, down from $1.19 last quarter. It's nearly a year since the first Ford F-150 Lightnings rolled off the production line at Ford's Rouge production facility in Michigan. But to date, you've only been able to buy one if you lived in the USA or in Canada. Now that's changing, with Ford Europe confirming this week that it's officially launched the F150 Lighting in Norway. Although the word launched is doing a lot of heavy lifting here, because Ford is clear that the F150 Lighting will only be sold in limited numbers, with the only variant available being the F150 Lighting Lariat Launch Edition. Ford hasn't said exactly how many trucks will be offered for sale, but customers will be able to order one at one of 70 dealers in Norway that will be set up to sell and service them. There's also only one colour you can choose, antimatter blue. Ford hasn't put pricing up yet on its website, but given that the same truck is pushing $90,000 in the US, expect it to be expensive. We're back to the Shanghai Auto Show now with another new all-electric model from Volkswagen, the 2024 Volkswagen ID.7. Unlike most electric cars coming to market, this is not an SUV. Instead, Volkswagen is calling it a sedan, although since the rear tailgate lifts up to give access to the rear passenger cabin and there's no separate trunk area, I'm going to call it a hatchback. Being marketed as a mid-size luxury model, Volkswagen says the ID.7 will be one of two halo cars for the ID brand in North America, the other being the soon-to-launch ID Buzz long wheelbase. The ID.7 uses the next generation of ID hardware and software compared to existing ID vehicles, and its MEB-based drivetrain offers 210 kilowatts of power at the wheels, alongside a range of up to 435 miles, 700 kilometres on the overly optimistic WLTP test cycle. We regularly try to feature surveys and studies into the electric vehicle market and attitudes towards the same, but this week we're turning our attention to climate change instead. That's because Pew Research just published details of its latest study, polling 11,000 Americans on their views of climate change. And despite what mainstream media would have you believe, there's a pretty strong consensus. In total, 69% of those questioned want the US to take steps to reach net zero by 2050, allowing the nation to meet the Paris Agreement. 2/3 say corporate America isn't doing enough to reduce their carbon impact, and 58% say their Congress critters aren't doing enough. Interestingly, too, residents of the Pacific coastal region are more likely to say they're feeling the impact of climate change, and thus they're also pretty focused on reducing its effects. During Tesla's earnings call this week, the automaker reiterated its claims that full autonomy was just around the corner, something that its executive team have been promising now for years. Many supporters of Tesla's FSD beta say that Tesla's technology could help the roads become a safer place, citing data from Tesla that they state backs up their claims. But as several studies in recent years have pointed out, Tesla's data on FSD, when normalized, doesn't appear to show significant safety benefits on other Level 2 systems, and without full standards at a national level for self-driving vehicles, it is hard to compare one system to another, especially when driver abuse and misuse of all semi-autonomous systems from a range of different automakers appears so common. Anything that can make roads safer for everyone is certainly worth welcoming, but Tesla having feature-complete software is frankly only the start. When it first unveiled its Xeon electric car, Sono Motors used crowdfunding platforms to help it raise the capital it needed to bring the vehicle to market. But as many of you will know, Sono ended its plans to bring the Xeon to market earlier this year, filing for insolvency in March and instead pivoting to focus on selling its solar technology to third-party companies. Now, according to reporting from Germany, the company faces additional scrutiny amidst claims its crowdfunding campaigns were illegal under German law. At the time of filming, not everyone who backed the company has received a refund, and lawyers have begun circling. According to experts in German financial law, Sono could be found guilty of failing to inform investors of the actual risks associated with backing the company, and that could ultimately see Sono Motors heading to court. Watch this space. Before we get to the last two stories, a quick question. Are you in the market for a new electric car? If you are, and you live in Aotearoa, you should totally check out our very own buyer's guide over at ecotricity.co.nz. It is packed with all the information you need to pick a car that's right for you, and includes plenty of details about incentives you can get, charging providers you can use, and of course, how to get clean energy at home. So follow the link below and start your journey today. There's something quite special about all-electric roadsters, and in my time covering the industry, I've longed for the day when we have a worthy successor to the original Tesla Roadster that we can lust after. Tesla has long promised a second-generation model, but just like many Tesla projects, the Roadster has been delayed quite a lot, which is why I'm very excited to see MG unveil the production-ready version of its Cyberster drop top. We have some leaked specs last week, but this week it was revealed for the Shanghai Auto Show. And this gorgeous sports car ticks all of the boxes when it comes to style, with hints of the Mazda MX-5 or Miata and a Jaguar F-Type in there too, alongside its sleek body. In its launch market of China, it will be offered with a choice of rear-wheel or all-wheel drivetrain, and it's likely to be offered in Europe. But given US sanctions on Chinese products, it's unlikely that it will ever go on sale in the US. And that's a shame because, honestly, I think MG nailed it. And finally, for as long as automakers have been producing electric vehicles, someone, somewhere, has reproduced them in Lego bricks, or Legos, if you live in the US. Last year, for example, we saw the F150 Lighting immortalised as a full-size Lego replica, and plenty of enthusiasts over the years have reproduced their favourite electric cars in scale, or even full-size, for their own edification. This week, we have a new electric vehicle to add to the list in the form of the Kia EV6. Working with Italian Lego specialist builders Brick Vision, Kia commissioned a full-size Kia EV6 that will be displayed at Milan's Design Week. It features 350,000 bricks and took over 800 hours over the course of 4 months to build. It does have functioning lights, but you won't get that sweet 800-volt DC fast charging. Or in fact, a vehicle to load. Sadness. And on that note, we are done for the day. Before I go though, do make sure you've hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on the latest in EV news from this channel. And of course, if you haven't already switched, it is time to switch to Aotearoa's first and only climate positive certified renewable electricity provider. It is super easy to make the switch, and in doing so, you'll help the nation wean itself off dirty energy and onto clean, green power that will keep the land beautiful for generations to come. I'll be back next week with our usual roundup, and we'll be back with more content on this channel in the meantime, as will the very lovely Gavin Kiwi EV Shoebridge. He's just published an excellent video about EVs that you can buy that won't break the bank here in Aotearoa. Thanks for joining me. I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield. Ka kite! See you next time.